Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me here today, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things. My name is Sharrifah Yunus. I'm the Culinary Artist, lead instructor at Sherry's Mama's Delight, where we change our world a meal at a time. So let me tell you a small story first, and then we go into the session. When I got married and after having two kids, I had no help. And the kitchen, as much as I loved cooking, the kitchen became close to a menace for me in the sense that once I cook, when I'm cooking, I'll use different kind of plates. So assuming I'm making fried rice, I'll have a plate for the carrots, another one for this and that. And then I end up having so many plates. But there's something I hate. As much as I enjoyed cooking, there's one thing I hate. I hate cleanups. I hate doing the dishes. I hate getting confused when I get into the kitchen. So the only thing I do is I plan the meal I'm cooking. I get it ready, and then it's just so difficult. I remember that at a particular time, I'll do every chore in the house, and then I will leave the kitchen. Then it gets so much for me that I will start to cry. So one day I told my friends about it, that the work at home is so too much for me. I had two young kids. But the basic of the work at home is prepping for the meal and then clean up. The cooking itself, I don't even know I enjoy it. But prepping for cooking and then the cleanups was very difficult for me. So my friends advised that I should put little plates in the kitchen such that I don't have to use all of them. And then whatever I use, it won't take me much time to cook. Now, when I was in secondary school, I did food and nutrition. And I remember that my teacher would tell me, I can't remember her name now, she would tell me, meaning that as we're learning to walk, we learn to walk fast and smartly. Because all I was good at is cooking the meal, but the prepping would take me hours. And then the cleanup, I'll be crying. So at the end of this session, I hope that, I'm promising you that you're going to have things that you can do to make kitchen time more pleasurable. And then for those who are not just in love with cooking, they would spend lesser time in the kitchen. So where do we start from? What's the first thing that we do when we want to cook and have fun in the kitchen? So today I'm talking about kitchen hacks that makes your job easier, that makes your time easier, especially during Ramadan, whereby what we want to be able to achieve is have more time doing ibadah instead of spending all the time in the kitchen. What is known traditionally is that the women during Ramadan cannot have time to do extra salah. They don't have time to read their mushaf. And then what they do mostly is kitchen and kitchen. It seems that instead of learning how to understand what it means to be poor and not to be able to feed, it seems Ramadan is a festa of food. So what happened is that our mothers, once sahur is done and then they sleep back a bit and wake up, what they are cooking in the night will take almost all the day while they are prepping. And then by the time they serve their families, they're exhausted. Some of them can't even eat. They're exhausted, and then the cleanups, they're calling the children, usually the girls, to come and clean up. And it's so tough. Who wants that kind of Ramadan? Not me. And I'm sure you wouldn't want that kind of Ramadan too. You want Ramadan whereby you can have fun, cooking in the kitchen, and then have enough time with your meals. So what's the first thing that we do if we want to have the most amazing Ramadan, where we can spend time with our children learning about Ramadan, learning different kind of ibadah, listening to lectures, or perhaps even going to lecture? This is more important during this particular time of the coronavirus, whereby We are unable to go to as many places that we want. We're unable to go for tafsir, for example. So it means that we have to recreate ourselves in the home while we find things that we can do to boost our iman and allow us to be able to be the best of Muslimah during Ramadan. And remember, we are the ones that the children look up to. What we do is what they learn. What we do is what they feel that is the norm. So this Ramadan, we are going together. We will be having the best of Ramadan, prepping well and using this kitchen axe to help you. So I hope you have your pens, you have your papers around, and we're so jotted. So the first hack that I will talk about is prepping. Okay. Prepping, there are two types of prepping I'll be discussing here. We'll be talking about the prepping for the meal itself and prepping when it comes to buying things. One of the most important thing I'm going to advise you to do at this moment is to write your list of needs during Ramadan. Now, it's not everybody that can afford to buy the whole ingredients and full stuff that they're going to be using for the whole month of Ramadan. Not everybody can afford to do that. But when you even have them down, the things you need, you can decide to prep a week at a time, meaning that whatever you need for 1 week, you can get it ready. This Ramadan is in less than 2 weeks. We are just upon the month. And so this time is like a rush hour where we get everything set, because I want you and I to enjoy the beauty, the Iman filled month that is special and that we have just once in a year. So the first thing I'll ask you to do is get your book, get your paper, and start writing the things that you need in the kitchen. We have already agreed that the kitchen is where you find women mostly during Ramadan. So how do you minimize this time? We need to do something fast, quick, and short, such that we would enjoy this month. And remember, there's this saying that say, he who fails to plan plans to fail. So we have this last few days that we can plan. So the first thing, get your books, get your paper, and let's write everything we would need in the kitchen. I'm not talking about food stuff alone. I'm also talking about kitchen equipment, the kind of pots or cookwares that will make our time easy. Some can afford to buy new things when they don't have, some can. The first thing, the clustering. So you want to be able to find things easily. So first thing, get your paper, like I said, and let's start writing what we need to do. So first thing on your list is decluttering. When you declutter, the things that are just junks that you've kept over a long time in your kitchen, you remove it. It allows you to be able to find what you need immediately. So let's do a weekend of declutter, whereby we're going to check, we women, we love to put those small nylons inside crevices, which ends up attracting cockroaches. So what we want to do now is to go into our kitchen and let's start decluttering. So decluttering, you can list the times that you want, the kind of things you want to do when it has to do with decluttering. Maybe you need to change your pots. Maybe you need to remove the some of the things that belong in your fridge or freezer. You want to clear it out, because we are going to be learning how to do things fast. So you need to clear out your fridge, your freezer. And when you want to clear out your freezer, I would advise that you look at a time where you're sure that you're going to have power, because our time or our lives are based on when the almighty NEPA, or what they call themselves now, when they give us light. So you want to be sure that you don't defrost your freezer, and then at the end of the day, you are put in a difficult place. So what I personally did was that around 2 weeks ago, no, about a week ago, we decluttered. We brought out everything that was in the freezer. At the time we were doing it, we've not had lights for a while, and then they brought the lights. When we opened the freezer, things were still blocked. So we brought out everything in the freezer, poured water there to defrost the block, and then since some of those things are blocked, if you have a good cooler, you don't want anything to go wrong with what you already have. If you have a good cooler, just get them beside you. Put all the things that are already blocked, because you want to defrost your freezer. Put them in your cooler, such that you are able to keep this thing still fresh, and then wash. You now decompartmentalize. You put them in whatever you want to put in the freezer, so you can have your ready to cook meals, you can have your soaps, you can have, just make sure that you have all those things in places that it's easy for you to reach and take. One of the best thing I would advise you is to get a white paper tape. the paper tape, you put it on your, you would get a paper tape and a marker, such that on your plate or your bowls that you're keeping things in the freezer, you can write what it is. You won't start looking for opening things one at a time. So get these bowls ready right now before Ramadan. Because I'm going to be talking to you about prepping something such that you have very short cooking time. So have your paper tape and your marker. A pen could clean off, water in the freezer could clean up, but marker would still better, so that you can write different things on the bowls. If you want, you can also get your freezer bags to keep certain things, and you seal them all the same. You can just put this paper tapes such that you can find things easily in your freezer. So that's the first thing, declutter your freezer. The next thing is your cupboards, where you put your pots and you put just nylons. We know women now, we have different types of nylon. We have the nylon that would wrap dirty things. We have the nylon that would take to the neighboring store. We have nylon that we've taken out, those special janded nylon. We know ourselves now that we keep even in our rooms. This is a time to declutter, bring everything out. You are not going to use everything. If you've not used anything for 6 months, it means you don't know that thing. So if you have anything in your kitchen that you haven't used for 6 months, perhaps this is the time to give it out. Remember that. Not charity does not decrease wealth, it just increases it. So when you have things, that's my own philosophy. If you have something for 6 months and you haven't used them, then it means it's not important to you. So if you have anything hanging around your kitchen, and except those ones, some of us who have older children, and some of these things we're trying to keep them for our children. If you think that you want to keep it for a child, no problem, just remove them from the kitchen and put them in the store. We want the things in the kitchen to be those things that you need to use immediately, not things that you would want to get this thing and then you're just searching and ransacking your kitchen. Remove all the nylons, and then you can now put the things that you use easily. You use spices and herbs to cook. Please don't keep your spices and herbs in the wardrobes or the cupboards or anywhere near your cooking surface, because spices do not like heat. So what you do is you can either put them in your fridge or you put them far away. If you have a kitchen that is bright, that is not hot, then you can put it on a shelf that you put in the kitchen, and the ones you use mostly, put them in front. The ones you don't use that often, put them a little bit above. So this is what I mean. You are keeping your spices on your rack. You can put something maybe like covers behind your bottles, and so the ones you use regularly, you put them in front. The ones that you don't use regularly, you put them on that covers that you put behind the most needed ones, such that it is a little bit above the regular ones and you can see them. You don't forget them. You don't want to forget things in your kitchen, because after a long time this thing will not be as fresh as possible. So you put your spices according to how you use them. The first one in front, and then you use something to elevate the ones you don't use often at the back, such that if you're fortunate, your rack has different layers. That's cool. You put the ones that you use often together and the ones you don't use often in another place, and so you can see them. You can see them at any time you want to use. You don't end up forgetting anything. Let's talk about our pots. Okay, I don't know the kind of pot you use, but I'll tell you one thing. Some pots are not good for us. They are quite reactive and they end up leaching into the meals that we cook. One of those pots is aluminium. Aluminium is a wonderful conductor of heat, meaning that we need something like that to make our food cook faster and perhaps preserve the heat for a short time. Aluminium does that, but aluminium itself is not good for cooking, because it could leach. When you cook certain food like tomatoes, you know that pepper tomatoes have acids, and so they will react to your aluminium and leach into your food. And then you're taking a side of amazing health-filled food, and then you're taking a side of something that's leached into your food. If you want to know if aluminium leaches, what you do is, when you start using your aluminium, check the weight. Maybe it's 2 kg. And then 6 months later, check the weight. And what happened is that you would notice that the weight is different from what you had before. Please shut the door. I'm sorry, please. So you would notice that what you have is different in weight. So if your pot weighs 2 kg now, by the next time that you check, you find out that your pot is weighing 1.7 kg, meaning that it has leached into your food. So what pot should you use? There are different kind of pot, but the one that is very good and is less expensive. We have titanium as a cooking material, as a material for cookware. Titanium is so expensive. I really don't understand why one would want to use titanium to cook. It's really expensive. If you were very rich, you might be looking at buying it. But let me give you an example. Pot with titanium would, if you have three of them, just three pots could cost you as much as 3 million naira or 4 million naira. A set of these can cost you between 5 to 7 million naira. A set of 5 or 6 pots. So you can imagine how expensive this is. So it's not something that you would want to buy. So what's the next best thing? The next best thing is stainless steel. And stainless steel comes in different types. People always say that, stainless steel burn my food. When you don't have a good stainless steel, then yes, it can burn your food. They have different, you have 8/10 or 9/10 when they're talking about the level of stainless that you have. And the 8/10 is quite good. So, but you don't buy just stainless because stainless steel is not a good conductor of heat. There are the ones they do. What they do is they will put aluminum in between. Remember, we said aluminum is very good. They put aluminum in between the base and the base of the pot, and then so they would put stainless on the top, stainless at the bottom, and then you have aluminum between. So you notice that your stainless steels are very heavy. They're very heavy. The heavier the stainless steel, the better it is. The more expensive your stainless steel, the better it is. So if you find stainless steel that's very cheap, I can 100% promise you that it's not original stainless steel, because one of the things that allows you to know good stainless steel is the price. So when it's cheap, then you know that it's unlikely to be good. So yeah, the pots that you've been using for 20 years, that it's not good enough, that when you use it to cook, it takes, what it does is that one way or the other, you allow things to boil over and your cooking gas is dirty. Remember, we want to spend as little time as possible in the kitchen. So you want the cookware that will make your job fast and easy. One cookware that I'm going to advise everybody to have, if you don't already have, is a pressure pot. A pressure pot is the best gift you can give yourself in the kitchen. Pressure pot does so many types of hacks, makes your life so easy that if you don't have it, I think it's the right time to now go get it. Whatever you have, just get your pressure pot. Your pressure pot can do a one-pot meal. One of the things it does is that pressure pot actually intensify the flavors in your food because it cooks with steam and not water. It's used more steam to cook, and so it retains the flavor of the food, and then it cuts your cooking time by half. So you want to cook beans on your, ordinarily you're cooking beans with the usual pot, you would cook beans for maybe 1 hour 20 minutes or 1 hour 15 minutes. But I can promise you that with the pressure pot, once it comes to pressure, your beans is ready in 20 minutes. So when you're using the pressure pot, you use little water. You don't use enough, as much water that you use for other for your regular pot. You use little water. You don't allow the water to be much. You can use it to cook your rice and beans. You can use it to cook your beans. You can use it to boil your beef. Jollof, there's absolutely nothing that you cannot use your pressure pot to cook. And remember, it intensifies flavors and cuts your cooking time by half. So you spend less time in the kitchen when you're using your pressure pot. It's extremely important. Every woman owns a pressure pot. Yes, I know people talk about the safety. Oh, it could be dangerous. One of the things that you need to do with the pressure pot is, once your food is cooked and you know that you give it time, if you're using a gas pressure pot, so what you do is whatever you want to cook determines how long it is going to spend. But your pressure pot has to come to pressure first. How does it come to pressure? Once you start hearing that sound, that means it has come to pressure. That is when you start counting. So you come to pressure, it could take you like 15 minutes. Okay. So when it's 15 minutes and you want to cook, say, beans, you can give beans 30 minutes or 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So you do 25 minutes. Once it is done, you switch it off. You do not open the pressure pot till the pressure comes down. You don't open it. So you give it another 10 to 15 minutes, like 15 minutes on the safest side before you open. The pressure pot that they are doing these days, they are so good that you can't even open it once it still has pressure in it. So that safeguards you. There's something called the gasket. That's the rubber on your pressure pot. Once you notice that your gasket has cut in different places, or you've used it for over 6 months, I would advise that you better get another one, because the gasket is the rubber there is the one that could cause harm when it is weak or when it's not good again. So don't use your rubber for a very long time such that you are unable to, I mean, it becomes unsafe for you. So that's the way to cook. If you want to cook rice and beans, you put your beans in the pot, you allow it to come to pressure, and then I would count to 60, 1 to 60. Once you when it comes to pressure, that's when you hear the sounds, remember? And then once you hear the sounds, the moment you hear the sound, you start counting. You add the beans, because it's rice and beans you want to cook. You add the beans there first, and then you count for 1 minute. That's 60 seconds. 1, 2, 3 to 60. Once you count to 60, you switch it off. Okay, once you switch it off, you allow it to cool down before you open it. So once you open it, you will now add to the quantity of water you add. So if say you're cooking 4 cups of rice, you add 8 cups of water, or 7.5 cups of water. So you add your beans, your rice into your washed rice into the pot, stir it together. The water that you're going to add, it will not be much. Okay, so usually I measure the cups of what I'm adding, and then you close it back and allow it to cook for the next 7 minutes, and your rice and beans is absolutely ready. Less than 10 minutes, your rice and beans is ready. See how amazing that is. So you get to cook. You can decide to do ibadah. If you're cooking rice and beans for iftar, you can cook it even 30 minutes before sahur iftar. 30 minutes before iftar, and your meal is going to be ready. And the sauce, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So after we've decluttered, we get the right things you need maybe your turning sticks, those very important things that you need to use to mash, the things you need to use for juicing. Maybe you have kept them somewhere in your store. Bring them out, wash them, clean your kitchen, put it in order, arrange everything such that whatever you need, you find it easily. The next thing you're going to do is stock up. You need to buy things that you're going to spend, because we want to spend as less time in the kitchen as possible. So it's almost Ramadan. You need to buy things, but you just don't go to the markets. What do? You write a list. The list is an extremely important part of cooking. If you go to the market without writing a list, there's a very high possibility that you impulse buy. And then when you impulse buy, you get home with wondering, why did I do this to myself? So before anything, for the month of Ramadan, what do you need? You cannot know what to buy if you do not draw up a menu table. If you draw up a menu table is extremely important. This is what would let you know, what do I need to buy for the month of Ramadan? You can buy everything in a month or weekly, but this is what will allow you to be able to plan very well, use your time judiciously during the month of Ramadan. So get your menu table. At SMD, we have our own menu table, but you don't have to buy ours if you don't want to do that. You can just draw something that ordinarily your family is. But remember nutrition. We want to make sure that we have our vitamins, our protein, carbohydrates, and all sort of things, nutrients that we need for a balanced meal, a balanced diet. So that's one of the things you do. Hack number 3. Get your list ready, get your menu table ready, so you know what you're going to have for sahur and iftar. Since you know what you're going to have for sahur and iftar, if you have children, you know that you want them to fast, you want to encourage them. It's extremely important to think of things that they would love, such that you give them. So what I used to do when my kids just started fasting is that before the end of the day, because they are tired, some of them want to break their fast, so I give them money and I tell them you can buy almost anything, and then I bake them cakes as surprise. Something. I'm always thinking of what else can I give them. So you want to involve the children in this. So drop your menu table. Know the things that you can use for your sahur. Know the meals that you can use for your iftar, and write it down. Once you draw your menu table for Sunday through Saturday, once you have that ready, it allows you to be able to draw up your market list. So you just check your menu table and get your paper for the market and start writing. Write out everything, including the spices, the raw materials, the spices, the ingredients, the proteins that you'll be using to cook, maybe beef, chicken, or fish. You don't have to buy everything at once, like I said, but if you can afford to buy it, I would advise you to do this at once. If your light is good, so buy your protein. You have an idea that, okay, we are going to need this. Your tomatoes, your peppers, you can so buy them right now and blend, keep them in the sizes that you need. So write your list and then go to the market to shop. So remember, before you write your list, what do you do first? You do what? You write a menu table. So your menu table guides you to what you're going to be able to use in the market. So once you do that, you're back home with your goodies. You're back home with your ingredients you're going to be cooking for Ramadan. So what do? We need to prep. We need to prep. Prepping is so important. So you know that during Ramadan, you're going to be cooking jollof rice. Okay. You know that during Ramadan, you're going to be eating yam. You know that during Ramadan, you're going to be cooking beans. So what can you do? You can so prep ahead. So how do you do this? So the things that you need, get them ready. You can grate, you use garlic and ginger. You can blend them individually. You know those ice block packs, that thing that we used to make blocks, those ones that have small, the ice block bowl or pan, I don't know, you know, those rectangular things. So once you blend your garlic differently, you blend your ginger differently, you can now spoon them into this block, put them in the freezer to freeze. Once it's free, bring it out and pour it inside a freezer bag. Once you put it inside the freezer box. So when you need them, you just take one block of garlic, you put garlic in a different place, you put ginger in a different place, and then you can bring them. So the time that you ordinarily use to grate, you've already helped yourself. You don't have to grate. You already have them fresh, because once you freeze it, you still retain the flavor of your garlic and ginger, especially when you freeze them in cubes. You're not going to be bringing everything out once. So one of the things that is very bad for cooking is bringing out things and taking it. Once you bring it out of the freezer, you allow it to defrost, and then you take it back into the fridge. It's not good. So what you do is a portion. You need to portion up things. That way, whatever you bring out is not going back into the freezer. That is what you're going to eat. So with your garlic and ginger that you've blended, put them into these blocks. Ice trays, ice them, remove them from it, put it in your freezer bag, and then you can take it out one in one or two in one when you need them. So the next thing is your beans. You know you're going to be cooking beans. You know you're going to be cooking beans and rice and beans. So what I'll advise you to do is to pick your beans, measure them up. So in your house, you cook 5 cups of beans, cook them, put them in the freezer bag. In 5, you've already removed the dirt there. So you just put them in the freezer. So once you need it, you're just removing. If your light is very good or you're not in Nigeria, you can absolutely cook them. See, when you freeze things, they taste as fresh as you just make them most of the time. So the only thing that I know that doesn't do well in the freezer is rice. Rice and certain vegetables do not do well in the freezer. But I said that most things do amazingly well in the freezer, and they keep for a very long time. So your beans, pick them, please, and put them in your freezer bag. So you can have, maybe you use 4 cups. You can do 4 cups of beans. Maybe you want to cook rice and beans, just remove it from there. 2 cups. That way you don't have time. You don't spend time cooking it. Another thing is for your jollof rice. What do you do? For your jollof rice, I will advise you that you make your sauce base ready. You know that when you want to cook jollof rice, you do cut your onions, fry it, add your garlic and ginger, add your peppers, add your spices. What do? Just put them in the sizes that you're going to use. Cook them at once. Cook a large batch at once, then apportion them into different bowls, and then keep it in the freezer. Remember what I said about markers and paper tapes? You put them on top of so you say jollof rice. This one will cook 4 cups. You know that there's a day that you're expecting guests. Maybe you want to make a larger one, or you just want to take 2 things. But remember to put this so that you won't get confused. Oh, what's this? So you write jollof base. Write with the marker on your paper tape, and then tape it on the bowl you're taking into the freezer. So you have your jollof rice ready. The same way I cook my jollof is the same way I make my asaro. So you can write, but asaro will not need as much sauce as jollof would use. So your asaro base will be smaller. So when you've done your menu table, so maybe you're cooking asaro once in a week for the 4 weeks of Ramadan. So you just asaro base, put it there. When it's almost time for asaro, you just bring it out and add it together. It makes so much sense, and it makes your job so much easier too. So that's about chopping up things. So sometimes some people they don't mind chopping up the vegetables for fried rice. I don't particularly like it. There's a way it comes soggy and it's not as crunchy. But I've done that too. If you think it's something that you absolutely do not mind, yes, you can do that. Just cut up your vegetables and keep them in the quantities or in your freezer bag as you would need them. Okay, so I'm going to now teach you. We want to talk about moi moi, how to prep for moi moi or your akara before cooking them. So can I have the video for the beans, please? How to prep, the fast way of prepping your akara or your beans, your moi moi for Ramadan. You want to get them ready. So I'm expecting a video now where I show you how to do your akara very easy and fast. Has to peel your akara or beans or moi moi beans very easy and fast. And we know that akara is or moi moi is something that would take very often during Ramadan.
Yeah, so today we want to learn how to.
So let's have the video.
So today we want to learn how to use our blender to peel our beans, so either akara, bakery, moi moi, or whatever. So you soak your beans for like 2 minutes or 3, and then you put it in a blender. You put small beans and lots of water. So what we want to do is to start and stop. So we call that pulsing. So we'll be pulsing. This is what I do. You stop. And you can see it's all done. And so if you see now, peeled, all peeled, you can see you have almost everything peeled. Okay, so continue. You can see all peeled. See how well done it is. Great.
All right, so you've seen how I make my beans. This makes it very fast. You know, that time that when we were young, when our mommy says, "Ama shakara, we are going to make akara," we know many of us, we feel like, ah. So if you're like me, that cooking is fun, is therapeutic, it makes me happy. Prepping isn't for me. I don't enjoy prepping at all, and I don't enjoy cleaning ups. I actually hate them. So to make things easy, I'm always looking for that hack that will ease my job. So when you do that, you know, you just soak your beans for a short while and then you pulse to peel the beans. It makes your job so easy. So what you do is once you do that, you then keep them in the batches you want in the freezer. So for the ones for akara, the ones for meme. And I'd like to just quickly tell you 1 or 2 things about akara. Akara is something that we cook, we use very often during Ramadan, or moi moi. So we know that moi moi akara, in fact, some people could have it almost every day for their iftar. So there are 3 major points when you want to make akara. This is why people don't get their akara. They have problems with akara. Their akara does not turn out well. There are 3 major points that people make mistakes. It starts with number 1, when you are blending it. So when you're blending your akara, it needs extremely little water. You want something very thick. You want a thick paste. When you are blending, if you're not blending in your house, you're taking to those who wants to blend. Tell them this is for akara and remind them often, because when you're making akara, you need your paste very thick. Once it is light, even just a little bit light, you've lost the akara. You've lost what you want to do. So remember again, you want thick paste of akara. The next thing, after you've done your paste, add the spices. Okay, so we cook natural. We don't use any form of seasoning cubes. So we have ready to use blends in our akara. So you have your paste here, very thick, quite thick. You don't make it too thick because it's now going to be hard. You make it thick that when you cut it, you put your spoon to remove it. It does not drop in liquid form. You don't want that kind of paste for your akara. So you add your spices to it. So for me, when I want to cook akara, I'll add my herb and spice sea salt. I can add my shuti and herb spice. I can add a little bit of seafood, a little bit of curry, and remember the herb and spice sea salt to taste. So I'll taste it if there's enough spice and salt in my paste, and then you start. The next most important thing is mixing. When you're mixing, remember when you're mixing cake that you mix like this to one side. You don't do like this and then do like this. Why do you do that? Because you want to incorporate air into your akara. Sometimes I just use my mixer to mix my akara. I just pour the paste in the mixer and then whoop, it takes me a shorter time using. Remember again, we love hacks. So you want to spend as little time as possible if you have a blender. If you don't have a blender, no problem, no worries. Remember that you've already peeled and put in the freezer. So you allow it to come into room temperature before you blend. Remember again, it must come to room temperature, like you didn't put it in the freezer at all. If it doesn't, I've noticed that it doesn't allow my beans, my akara to float and be nice. So you allow it to come back to room temperature, and then when you're blending, I use tatashe, bawa, and rudu. This gives it beautiful color. I don't have to use, so let's say I'm doing 3 cups of akara. That's the measuring cup, 250 ml cups of akara. I might use 1 one tatashe, two bawa, and maybe two rodo and onions, and then I blend that way. So you start mixing to one side because you're incorporating air. This is one of the things that'll make your akara come out so beautiful. Okay, so we'll do this for a while, and then once we have blended, I mean, we've mixed it for a while, you then want to fry. The next most important thing to have amazing akara is akara has to be deep fried. You cannot shallow fry akara. You will not get something like so. Your pot that you're using or your pan that you're using, the oil there must be much so that when you put your akara inside, it will ordinarily float. Your akara must not touch the bottom of your pan. This is very important. Your akara must not touch the bottom of your pan. So once you finish mixing, you have the right consistency of akara. The next step you do is allow your oil to heat up to a good size. You don't want it to be very hot. If it is very hot, it should all over it will brown, but inside would not cook. So once it is hot, I would now lower it to some, not to the lowest, mid. So you do mid heat level, not the highest, not the lowest, medium. So once it is hot on that medium, just take a little bit of akara, put it in your oil. Once it sizzles, it means your oil is ready. Then you start using your spoon to put it into the oil, and it will float. Want to make it easy for you to turn, because some people will have problem that use a stick. You can use a kebab stick or your fork. The stick is easier to use, so you just use the stick to start turning it to the other side, and you fry it on both sides for maybe the first side 5 minutes and then maybe 2 minutes, and then once it is brown and golden, your akara is ready. Just put them into your colander such that the oil there is drained. Many times I like to use my kitchen towel to line my colander, and then I put it so that it's not oily, and my akara would look like puff puff. If you do it well, that's how your akara, and yeah, you have the most delicious akara for your tapioca, your oats, or your pap for Ramadan. So this is one of the ways. And if you're doing moi moi too, the same thing in sense of prep ahead, put all those things there. So you can have you can actually have your tatashe rodo frozen in the freezer. And when you want to use them for akara, you just bring it out. Yes, it will go limp, but that doesn't matter. You're still blending them, so you have these things ready to use. So when you want to make your peppers and your onions for your beans, you can do all of those things into your freezer bags. The things you need: your tata rodo, atatashe, beans. That for that akara, let everything be ready there. The only thing you might not cut there is your onions, so you just leave there. So once you want to use them, bring this all out, pour it in a bowl, allow it to come to room temperature, cut your onions into it. So you've done a lot of things. You have your peppers ready, so it's not like, oh, we don't have pepper, you're rushing to the market. Remember, we want to use as little time in the kitchen as possible. So yeah, prep your stews. Please, I would advise that you also cook your stews ahead. We don't want to spend all our time in the kitchen. Cook your stews ahead. You can have your fish stew, you can have your chicken or beef stew, and put them in the freezer in the quantity that is needed. Remember, quantity that is needed. This is why people don't like things in the freezer, because they'll bring it out, take what they need, return it back. You don't like that. So your ewedu too. So in my house, what we do is when we finish cooking our ewedu, we put it in little amounts. I mean, little bowls. You know those Mr. Big small bowls that they use for salad, those smaller round ones. So we put our ewedu. You can get a bowl like that. You put your ewedu in the quantity, and once you bring it out, you're finishing it. But of course, if you are many in your family, that would not be enough for you. That bowl will not be enough. So just put it in the quantity that's usable for your family. One of the things I'm going to advise us to do is sour is a problem. It's a problem because your husband and the kids will get up and say they're nawafil, and you are in the kitchen rushing up. If I want to give you the best advice for Ramadan, do you know my best advice? The best gift I can give you for Ramadan is get a good cooler or warmer. Get a good warmer. This will allow you to spend as little time when everybody is waking up in the third part of night, instead of you finding yourself in the kitchen cooking. The only thing you're going to warm up is the stew. Please, whatever you want to eat for sahur, prep it and put it. Some people like to take smoothies. I don't mind taking smoothies. So what do? I cut up my bananas, my pawpaw, whatever I'm using for my smoothie. It's even nicer when it's frozen. I cut them up and put them the same way you want to make smoothies during Ramadan. Cut your fruit up, put them, freeze immediately. And when you want to blend it, you don't even have to allow it to come to room temperature. Just bring it out from the freezer and blend. If your light is good or your generator can carry your blender. If your generator is like 3.5 kV, it can carry your regular blender. Okay, so you just get the soap. Of those who want to take smoothies for their sahur, let it freeze, just put it inside, blend it, just whatever you want to add, maybe peanut butter or whatever, you add it to it, blend, and you're ready. How long does that take you? Your food, you have cooked it in the night. I'm going to say again, if you get a good cooler warmer, you do not have to wake up and start to roll amala. Start making your amala, your whatever. You can put this thing, wrap them up in clothes, put them in a very good cooler, and even your stew. We now have Stanley flags. That's one of the reasons why I bought Stanley flags. Is one of the best investments you can make. They're expensive, yes, but we're talking of something that is going to give you 25 years warranty. You're going to have 25 years warranty on it. So if you can get a Stanley flask, if not, just get something that is good. Even your stew can be in the flask. And when you want to eat, what you just do, you just pour the stew and the food that you've already cooked. And so everybody is there saying they're now one feel. You're also there saying, you're not worried that, what are we going to cook? Remember, we have our menu table. And so when you're drawing up on your menu table, you can decide to have options, maybe two or three options, such that if you don't feel like this today, you can mix the other thing. And you're going to have prepped ahead such that you can. And so when you're in the kitchen doing that, there's a sister who shares one Ustaz audio during Ramadan. So when I'm doing anything, I just play this thing. And so while we're just maybe warming up, dishing food, in my house, we take lots of bread during Ramadan to make it, to ease our journey. My kids are not very good with okele, that's swallow. They don't really like it. So we don't often make swallow. We don't like to eat much. So smoothies go so well for us. You can just do what your family finds easy to do, and just prep those things and get them ready for Ramadan. I hope that you have learned quite a number of things. I'm not ending yet. I hope you're learning quite a number of things that helps you with amala. I'm going to show you now. You've done I've taught you how to prep your beans, to make it using your blender to pulse and remove it. So one of the problems we have is washing certain things. Your blender, you find out that your blender will have something little in the crevices that you cannot get to wash it. So I have this hack that I use for cleaning up my blender. Please, can you help me upload the video, play the video for clean up your blender? This hacks just assist you in making your job not just easy, but really interesting too. So when we learn this hack,
your blenders after using them, those little crevices where your hand can't really reach. So what I do is after whatever I've blended, I remove it. Okay, then I pour water inside and I do this like 3 times, and then every little thing there is gone. Then I wash. This way you don't leave particles inside your blender.
Okay, so I do this immediately I finished, and sometimes I will put a little bit of the kitchen soap. I use Good Mama. You put a little bit of it inside. Once you even do that, you don't even have to wash after. So once you just pulse it, everything just gets cleaned up. Sometimes you might decide to add vinegar. Vinegar actually takes away the smell of things from your cookware. So you can add a drop or two of vinegar inside that water and swish, you get everything clean. That makes it easy for you to cook. Another thing I would like to advise you on is, or some of the hacks I would like to give you, is prepping your protein for barbecue or roasting. Okay, there's one major thing here you need to understand. When you marinate your protein, it makes it very soft, so you shouldn't marinate for too long a time. But if you have things like layers, chicken layers that are tough, you can marinate. Marination, not only does it allows your protein to be really delicious, it also softens your protein. For fish, I would advise that you don't marinate fish for a long time at all. So get it ready. So you can decide to actually cook really nice things during Ramadan aside the norm, but just prep ahead. This way, you're like every other person who is having a fantastic Ramadan because they have put up different kind of hacks, they put it to play, and they just enjoy their Ramadan, being able to do lots of ibadah and not feeling guilty that their family is losing something. When you have children, remember, it doesn't matter if your child is a boy or a girl, everybody should be in the kitchen helping. So no matter what age they are, you can so get them something to do, and you all work in the kitchen to make your job faster. Have a mommy's assistant. Give them a name that makes them feel special. You can say the junior chef, or you can say Chef Lane, you can say, and you can just even write it in a badge and something beautiful and paste it and tell the young one, especially your 5-year-old and your 6-year-old, even your 8 to 10-year-old would love to be mommy's chef. So you can give them some fancy names to such that they find it fun helping you in the kitchen. You don't have to do it alone. Either they're boys or girls, you shouldn't do it alone. You should pull them into the kitchen together and prep ahead. Have lots of talk around Ramadan, have meeting with your family, talk about what you want to achieve in Ramadan, talk about how you're going to achieve those things, how you're going to make sure that you're not spending too much time doing chores. Discuss it, have a meeting over it with everybody in the family. Let everybody have particular things they're going to do to make everybody's work easier. I hope you had fun listening to me, teaching you some particular small tips and hacks here to make you have a fantastic and rewarding Ramadan. If you have any questions, I'm so here. I would like to hear them and answer them. So I'm here to answer your questions. If you have anything, please ask away and then I'll answer them. Okay, somebody asked, what is the fastest way for cleaning a kitchen burner? This is a fantastic question, and it's a hack that I forgot to mention. So the best way to clean your kitchen burner is you remove everything, the irons on it. You can still do this for the irons too. So the top burners, get them in a bowl. You need a baking powder and vinegar. So what you do is you put your vinegar all over your burner. You use it to wet your burner. Make sure that you have enough vinegar all over it. And then you now add your baking soda. Remember again, baking soda, you now put it all over. You sprinkle your baking soda on it. Leave this for 10 minutes and you're good to go. It is as clean and as easy to clean as possible. So the top burners, you can do the same thing for them. You just put them in a bowl, add vinegar and baking soda, and you're good to go. Even when you have burnt pots, I'll teach you what to do. Okay, somebody is asking that what are the easiest meals they can cook to prep for Ramadan? Okay, so I think I have already talked a lot about sahur, what you can do for sahur. So it depends on your family needs and what they like. So I mentioned that my kids do not like swallows. So you can do rice, you can do smoothies, you can do pancakes, you can do sandwiches, you can do, for your sandwich, you can prep ahead and all you just do is bring this thing out, bring your prep ahead out and just layer, and that would make it fun and easy. So depending on what your family prefers, that will determine the kinds of meals that you should cook. When you're cooking and maybe you were so tired and you slept off and you have burnt pots, what do? So you put water in that burnt pot, put it on fire. Okay, add your vinegar to it and then add your baking soda to it. Once it boils for like a minute, remove it out. It's so easy to clean up your burnt pot. So I've answered somebody about cooking the banana. What particular type of food are you supposed to avoid in Ramadan? Okay, now this again is going to be dependent on you personally. So one of the things is that when you want to break your fast, avoid food that are acidic. Because the layer of your tummy is it's had needed food, so you want to avoid taking things like fizzy drinks. Fizzy drinks are a no to break your your fast. And in fact, I often advise don't take orange. The best thing that I personally do is when I'm fasting, for people who have ulcer, and this has helped me over the years, is that for sahur and iftar, I always take banana. Banana helps coat the linings of your stomach and prevents you from having ulcer. So the best thing that you should eat, you can take dates, you can take banana. Banana is really amazing. I take banana for sahur and iftar. I'll also advise you not to take fried things for sahur. Beans also gives you thirst. If you take beans for sahur, it makes you thirsty. So I would say that fried things and beans, you should remove them from your sahur. It makes you thirsty. You don't want something that will make you thirsty. So remove that. And then when you want to break your fast, I will advise that don't take too much of spicy things. When I say spicy things, heat. Don't let it be too. Don't take things that are very hot because it could affect you, especially for those who have ulcer. And there was a question that came in as a flash. I missed it. Okay, can you recommend where we can get the utensils, or can we get them in markets? Okay, so when it comes to pressure pot, for example, you might not be able to get them in regular markets, but you would find them in superstores. And there are people who sell. There's this sister, Mojida Popola, and Bilkis. I can't remember her surname. Builds something matte. They sell different kind of kitchenwares or cookiewares. We had them, but at the moment we are not selling. So when you want to just buy your pressure pot, for example, do stainless. When you're buying things for your kitchen, do stainless most of the time. Let most of the things, your cooking equipment, be stainless. Any more questions? When is the best time to start prepping for iftar? Well, I've taught you different things you can do to prep even ahead before Ramadan. So depending on what you're cooking, I talked about how you can actually cook 30 minutes before sahur, before iftar, if you've prepped ahead. So you can do 1 hour before iftar. When it's 1 hour before iftar, start your prep. Remember to moist your tongue with azkar when you're in the kitchen, such that you end up getting benefit. I cannot really multitask. So if I'm doing very simple things, I can listen to lectures. But when I'm doing something a little bit more tedious, I might not be able to listen to lectures. So the best thing I would say is moist your tongue with azkar. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk. So just continue to do those things. So for everything you're doing, you're getting reward. And always remember to say your bismillah. What are the easiest meals we can prepare for sahur to cut our time in the kitchen? I already talked about that. You can do your rice, you can do sandwiches, you can do smoothies, you can do eba, amala. Those ones are very fast too. You can even prep it. You can cook if you get a good cooker, warmer. You can just make your eba amala ready. So all you just have to do is warm your stew. I don't think you won't spend more than 10-15 minutes just to serve. It's just serving. So the moment you're serving your amala, you put your ewedu or stew on the stove top to warm, and then once you finish serving everything, your ewedu is ready. You do that, your stew is ready. I don't think you spend more than 10-15 minutes. So if you prep ahead, you spend the least time in the kitchen as possible. What is the best way to eat in Ramadan? I don't absolutely have no idea what that means. I don't understand it. What is the best way to eat in Ramadan? I don't know what that means. I don't understand the questions. Date is very good. So before you're breaking your fast, start with 3 dates. If you don't have 3 dates, or if you don't have 3 dates, do one. The Prophet ﷺ loves odd things, so you can do 1 date or 3 days. If you don't have your dates, the next thing is water. Our mommies and daddies will break their fast with fruits, but the sunnah is to break your fast with dates. If you don't have dates, you can use water. If you don't have water, I'm sure you have water, and then you take your fruit. Don't take too much water. Don't use tea to break your fast. Don't take too much water when you break your fast. As long as I know you're going to be hungry, but taking too much water would not help you. Just a little bit of sips of water in your dates, and then you can say your maghrib and then come back to whatever you want to eat. You don't want to eat too much so that you won't be able to say your tarawih. Remember the reward of starting tarawih and finishing with the imam, or just praying with finishing with the imam. You have the reward of praying the whole night. So this is the time for us to plan such that we are able, as mothers, we're able to go for our Taraweeh. Any more questions? If there are any more questions, let me know, please. So what else would, yes, yes. So we have prepped our kitchen. The first thing don't forget is declutter first, write your menu table second, write your kitchen needs third, write your list fourth, go to the market five. As per the market, you would want to check out the farmers market, which they call Ojoja. Ojoja is the farmers market. That's the time the farmers will come to the market. You are able to get things cheaper, especially fruits and plantain, those kind of things. You get them cheaper at that time. So please look for the market days, the farmers market days, such that you can buy things. You can also join hands with your friends. If you cannot do a basket of tomatoes, four of you can come together to buy the tomatoes and peppers, share them, blend them, cook them, put them in the freezers in the quantity that you would need them, or make the stews ready and keep in the freezer to freeze. That's where you are able to buy things, even groceries. You can come together, 5 people can come together to buy groceries, maybe a carton of something, and then you share it. It's cheaper this way, and your money goes a longer way. Things are so expensive, so you really want to buy things in wholesale. Where can one get titanium? Somebody gets asking, where can one get titanium from? Okay, there are people, there's what the particular code they call cook worth or something. I don't know where you get it. I know that a sister was selling, but I really didn't have interest in it. I mean, 5 pots is 3 million. 5 pots is like between 4 to 6 million naira. It's not what I'm particularly interested in. So what I prefer is to get very good stainless steel. Mm, very good stainless steel. So do you have any more questions for me such that we can wrap this up? I'm trying to see if there's more questions. There doesn't seem to be any question at the moment. So you want to make sure that you are not buying something expensive. Fridays is a bad time to buy anything in the market because people are either having parties, and so things are expensive. One of the best days to buy things in the market is on Mondays and Tuesdays. Almost everybody is at work. So most people just want to sell on Monday. They want to start the week well. So they're usually less they don't want to put too much money on whatever they are selling. Even when you haggle for the price, you get to have better deals. I like doing Monday shopping. Monday shopping is so much cheaper for me. The earlier you go to the market, the more you find really cheap things. So for your tomatoes and peppers, you want to go to the market very early, such that the first things that bring into the market, they're usually the best. When it comes to tomatoes and pepper, they're the freshest, and then you get to buy it at that time. So Monday morning for me, or Tuesday, is the best market day personally, and at the end of the week is the most expensive days in the market. Thursdays is for me. Thursdays is because it's almost Friday. It's not the best of time to go to the market. Friday, Saturday is a no for me. I rarely want to do market days on those days because things are usually more expensive. So don't forget, you can come together in a group to buy your tomatoes, peppers, and groceries. This will bring your costs lower and you can spend your money. Your money can go further. Okay. I don't think there are any more questions here. I don't know. I don't think there are any more questions here. Is there any other thing I would like to tell you? Okay, I'll also like to tell you about natural cooking, just to wrap this up. This is the best thing that you can give your family at this moment. Ramadan is the time that we cleanse our soul, and it's also a time we can actually start to cleanse our bodies too. A healthy Muslimah or a healthy Muslim is better than the weak one. One of the ways you can be healthy is eating natural. Go as natural as possible. At SMG, we provide 100% natural spice mix. Some of them are NAFDAC approved, apart from the new ones we have created. We have sets of spice blends that give your meal the most delicious flavor that you want. Whatever you want to cook, African, Nigerian, intercontinental, we got you covered. We have everything that you can use to get your meals, delicious and tasty. And you will really want to use the month of Ramadan to start a new journey, if you haven't started yet, to start a new journey towards healthy cooking, healthy eating, and strong Muslims whose body is strong and helps your iman to be good too. Is it okay to eat a bit of sugar during Ramadan so that more can be hyper? I don't know. To eat a lot of sugar isn't necessarily good for us. So I would say that as little sugar that you can have, you should have it. So the thing is that many of the carbohydrates breaks down to become sugar. So you don't have to take sugar. Your rice is already breaking down into what's the sugar that you need. So you don't have to take the sugar itself. So I would say that use Ramadan to actually learn to cleanse our body, cleanse our system. When you take your after your iftar, take as much water as you want to take. That this would help your skin. Taking enough water helps the skin. Removing artificial things in your meal helps your body and your skin. In fact, it gives you beautiful skin. That's one of the things I've noticed in natural cooking. It allows you to have this glowing skin because they have a whole lot of antioxidants and so many things that just repairs things. So it works differently for different people. I can find this in me, and another person will mention something. So when you cook natural and you eat natural, you remove as much. Check your labels. I don't buy things without. In fact, my children knows not to buy anything without checking labels. You want to be sure that what you're taking is good. You want to be sure that what you're taking doesn't have chemicals. And many of the seasoning cubes we have are filled with chemicals. So you want to, start your a new year. If you're using the Ramadan, a new year, you want to start a new life. Either you're just married or you married before. Ramadan is the best time to do this. You're cleansing your system. You're rejuvenated. So you want to start Ramadan. You want to cleanse your soul. You want to cleanse your bodies, and this is the time, just the right time to start a new natural cooking world. So start healthy cooking, buy the best type of ingredients, avoid things that are gone bad. I was going to say something about your beans. When you want to, okay, somebody's asking, is there a particular place one can get a healthy timetable? Yes, at SMG, we actually have two types of menu tables. We have the everyday menu table, and then we have the Ramadan menu table. These menu tables are created using the average balanced diet. Is not tailored towards any health challenge specific needs, but it is tailored to something the whole family who are averagely healthy they can take. So we put lots of things into consideration making this menu tables. The everyday menu table tells you what to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 7 days. It also gives you meal ideas for children, where I will consider things that will make it easy for you to give them really nice things for school lunch. And then for iftar, we have what you can eat for iftar and sahur. We realize that when it comes to sahur, people usually have challenges. Some people want heavy meals, some people want light meals, some people just want to do fruities. So for our iftar menu table, we have 3 choices that you can make for your sahur. Either you're doing fruits, you are fit farm, either you want the average needs and you want those who just want something heavy. We have it in our menu table, and it costs just 1,000 naira each for the menu table. So yes, we have a perfect, healthy, balanced diet meal plan that you can use for your Ramadan. We also have recipe cards that teaches you, that trick, that technique, that special way to cook an amazing dish naturally. I was saying that when you want to buy your beans, please make sure that it's not the beans that chemicals have been added. So you wonder, how do you get it? For me, when I'm buying beans, I don't want a perfect beans. I don't mind seeing a weevil or two in the beans. It means that they have not added chemicals to this. And to preserve your beans, please put them in the freezer. If you don't want your beans to grow weevils, and just keep them in the freezer. I know people say you add peppers, some type of chilies into it, but I've not seen it work that well. The best one that has worked for me is keeping in the freezer. I can keep my beans for 1 whole year without it growing anything in the freezer. And that's some of the things you can do. If you buy lots of spice mix, for example, or spices and herbs, you can so put them in the freezer. Just make sure that you wrap them well, such that water doesn't get into the spice, and then keep them in the freezer. They can last as long as 1 year. And your beans can also last as long as 1 year, as long as you put it in a plastic, in a place that water would not get into it. You can have your beans for as long as you want and your spices for as long as you want to. So at this point, I think we're going to call it a day. It's an hour. I don't know if my time exceeds 1 hour, but I think I've answered all the questions that are here. If there's any question I haven't had answered, please can you just help me put it on the screen such that I can see it and answer it now. That's just what I'm waiting for. If you see any questions, I don't want to click on anything and then get myself off this place. So that's why I'm not checking, but I can see 6 chats. I don't know if there are questions. If somebody can help me check them and relay them on the screen, that will be fantastic. Okay, so having said this, I would introduce myself again. In case you were just joining, my name is Sharrifah Yunus. I am the culinary artist, instructor, and lead formulator at SMD, where we change your world a meal at a time by providing you alternatives to the regular seasoning cube in spices and herbs that are so delicious and healthy too. We help you with the most amazing recipes to cook your meals, and we also bake you cakes and pastries that are free from artificial seasonings and flavors and colors. We use spices and herbs to make our pastries, and our cakes are so soft and lovely, using real butter that gives your cake an exquisite taste, and I'm sure that you would love to have during the month of Ramadan, either as a gift or just have as a family. We also just launched our premium gift box. They are so beautiful, and you can just use them to gift somebody or just gift yourself for Ramadan. It's 100% your 100% starter pack for natural cooking. It has everything that you need to start your natural cooking journey. It's my pleasure being here. Thank you for having me. I think it's about time we say bye-bye. I don't know who is there, but I think we are done here. There are no questions anymore. I had fun being with you for the last 1 hour. It's been very interesting. I hope you were able to pick up things that would help you achieve the right type of iman, achieve goodness in the coming month. I ask Allah to bless this month for us. May this be among the best of Ramadan that is acceptable to Him that we have. I ask Allah to make it easy for us to worship Him solely for His sake. I ask Allah to accept our ibadah, forgive us our sins, and grant us all our heart desire. I ask Allah to bless the convener of this program, Bounties. May Allah bless every single person here, the people behind the technicalities, the people behind the production and everything, every member of Bounties. I ask Allah to bless them and accept this from them as an act of ibadah to please Him alone. May this count heavily on the scale of goodness during the day that we need everything that is good to add to our skill. I ask Him to forgive us and forgive me for everything I've said here that is wrong. Whatever I've said here that is wrong is definitely from Shaitan, and the goodness I've said here is for Him alone. I ask Him to bless every listener and allow you, whatever that thing is that is affecting your iman, that is affecting your productivity, that is affecting your person. I ask Him to heal you completely and to grant you joy. I ask Him that the month of Ramadan, what we hope for it, may we get it in bounties. I ask Him to bless every one of us, protect us from the shayateens and the jinns, and grant us the best in this world and the hereafter. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم
All Muslims have to do 5 things. Who knows what they are?
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
Are you prepared for Ramadan? From the archive of your Muslimah charity presents The Awakening Ramadan, featuring 7 Muslimah-centric panel sessions with over 20 esteemed speakers of your choice. You nominated them. We did the handwork to get them for you. This year shall also feature heartwarming keynote speeches from Dr. Yunus Haifa, founder, Jannah Institute, 5 p.m. Friday, 2nd April 2021. Dr. Hannah Gamal, founder, Quran Quest Institute, 9:30 p.m. Saturday, 3rd April 2021. Sada Aisha Prime, founder, Baraka Inn, 7:45 p.m. Friday, 2nd April 2021.